At this particular time, to draw in energy, I think that in any of your dwelling places, you should have an altar. That's quintessential, and most indigenous people around the world have altars. It's only the Western religion factor, basically Christianity and Islam. When I say that, because these particular ones, they're so hard. Christianity and Islam, they're so hard on this particular aspect of the hard-nosed fundamentalism. And you can throw in aspects of Judaism, although all of these particular religions in their infant state or in their inception, they have all the ritualistic stuffs about them. But in so many words, because they're so built on moralism and making evil out of any kind of practitioner of the spirit realm, a lot of times the Western world being the inheritors of this, and we being the people that this was forced on, we tend to basically not have altars. So we're not talking about giving you some alternative way to pray. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about building an energy conduit or an energy base within your dwelling space, in your home. That should be first and foremost. Should be in your home. Most homes that would have an altar and a certain amount of energy would be protected from break-ins and different things. Especially if you set up an altar and, in this particular case, set up a device for protection. Well, what is the device for protection? In so many words, do you know that basically, if you set up an altar and you sat down and you contemplated in your mind what would be something as a device of protection, what type of object, what type of anything that I would say that I would want to put on this altar for protection, do you know that the most powerful one is the one that would come up out of your mind? You see, we're not talking about old rituals and things that's been depleted because of some ancient priest put some formula together or some strategy together 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. We're talking about a new eon of energy, and this energy is coming from inside of you. You're the ones that's returning to the lofty state. So therefore, the most important ritual is one that you think up yourself. That would be one of the most important rituals. I would suggest for some people, for bibliography purposes, was to get the latest book by Philip Cooper. Philip Cooper is a guy, he wrote a book called Magician. Now, I don't know if that particular book is in print, The Magician by Philip Cooper. I think it's called Effective Studies in Magic. Or Studies in Effective Magic. Effective Magic. But he does have one now called Basic Magic. And the only thing I want you to do is to get the book, to study the book on a guideline on how magic is done, to get a simulation of the concept in your head. I'm not telling you to actually go and do what he tells you to do in the book. I just want you to get, if not his book, any book on basic magic and basic rituals, and just to get a concept on how to deal with it or what's going on. But I don't necessarily want you to do what's in the book. Now let me explain. Stores like Barnes & Nobles, Borders, and all of these particular mass national bookstores, have magic sections. There's a reason why the government feels safe to have magic sections in all of these stores, because none of that magic works. So they can print volumes of books, because number one, some of the systems have been defunct for thousands of years. Some of the magic that the system, traditional systems that still on the planet that's functioning, that magic has been depleted. So they know that most of the stuff that you go and buy in those books, they don't work. That's why they sell them. But I want you to go and buy a couple of these books just to get the concept of what all this is about. You see, what all this has got. There's tons of books out on basic magic. And get the concept of what it's about. After you get a basic premise in your mind, then I want you to go in and start making up the rituals based on your own self. Anybody can do it. You just do what comes in your mind and have enough faith or have enough confidence in your mind to know that it's authentic. And do the ritual that way. So basically, dealing with the altar, we're talking about draping some type of cloth over something in your house. And the first two things after you drape the cloth is to start with 2 candles. We tell people these days to always deal with 7-day candles. Hand me that candle over there so that the people would know what this is. Deal with 7-day candles. Deal with 7-day candles. It is safe to deal with 7-day candles or any candle encased in glass. Do not use any candles that are not in glass. That's for safe measures. That's a no-no. First thing, because number one, you're not dealing with just something that you're dealing with a certain thing, a certain ceremony that you're going to deal with a few minutes. You're going to out in the candle. Some of these things might have to take days, or some of these things you might want permanent. But if they're encased in glass, they're safe. That's the first thing. So you want to start with draping something over something wooden, preferable, but anything, a speaker, a table, or anything, and making your own personal altar, and start with either 1 to 2 candles. It could be 1, but 1 to 2 candles for 7 days.
Any particular color?
At this time, I think that the most New Age color, and I'm not talking about New Age in the aspect of terminology, the most color, the color I would think right now to deal with in the now would be blue. I would think that blue would be one of the key colors. Because the universe, which you call the triple blackness of space, it says in the book of the law, which was a book that was came by an angel by the name of Awas, it tells you that Nut, which is the great mother, say, I am black to the people who are blind, but I am blue to the people who can see. So I would say blue, but there's several things you can deal with. It's red is a great time for a lot of high energy. White is always good. Green is good for money. You see what I'm saying? Green is good for money. So you can start with things, yellow is good, gold. But I would think right now what you would want to do, and I would say blue, but I would also say if you're going to build an altar, take the color that you like. Everybody got a favorite color. So your favorite color should be the color that you should put on your altar, because that is your inner self. We don't know why we like certain colors. It just is. Your favorite color is the one that you should put on the altar. Because what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with something that is uniquely you. And so that means that the energy is going to be directed to you and for you. Because it's coming outside of you. You're drawing out something. So start with the best color that you like. So I said blue, but you might like pink. But it's a great color. It's the color of the goddess Urzuli in the voodoo. You might like yellow. Well, that's the color of the goddess Oshun in Yoruba. You know, you might like red. That's the color of the goddess Sekhmet. You see, in Egypt. You see. Purple, the color of Osiris in some mythology. Green, the color of Osiris. You see. Your whites and your blacks are dominants. But then again, if you want to deal with some real deal power, get a black candle. You know? Depends on what you're dealing with at the particular time. You know, what you're dealing with. So, what you want to start with that, and then you want to find out what type of entity that you want to deal with, or what type of ancestor. In this particular case, you want to deal with, let's start with the entities. There's a good book you need to get called The Dictionary of Ancient Deities by Charles Russell Coulter and Patricia Turner. Charles Russell Coulter, Coulter, and Patricia Turner. And that book would have just about every deity on the planet. Go through it. It's a dictionary, and go through whatever culture that you feel you're drawn to, and find a particular entity up, and then let it jump out at you in the particular aspect of using that. You know, there's several things you can do. And then, you know, I want you to adorn your altar with personal items, because that's closer to you. But I would also suggest put you a plate on the altar, and so you can put fruit, mainly because you want to appease a certain ancestor, a certain god that you're going to be dealing with. You see what I'm saying? Or goddess that you want to be dealing with at this particular time. I can feel safe for saying this because most of the people at this particular time right now should have some type of method of study. We're coming out of the age of following people. So the good part about me is I'm not interested in you following me a damn place. You're coming out of the age of that. So if you're not going to try to study, then you might as well go on back to the ignorant world, because there is no place for you in progress of doing things in the esoteric realm or doing something new if you're not going to check out the information and study. There's too much stuff on the internet. There's too many bookstores out here for you not to be reading.